There's been a boom in mega churches with thousands of members over the past 2 decades, but that massive growth has come with a cost. A survey of pastors shows the demands of the jobs are creating greater stress, and some pastors are just feeling overwhelmed and even burned out. CBS News special correspondent James Brown is here with a story of a popular young pastor who decided to just take a break.
2 years ago, we met Pastor Howard John Wesley, the dynamic leader of the historic Baptist Church in Alexandria, Virginia. He's a gifted preacher-teacher who uses popular culture in his messages to young people. But he told his 10,000-member congregation that he's tired.
There's not been a day in these past 11 years that I have not woken up and knew that there's something I had to do for the church. That I have to be available for call, that I journey with people through the highs and the lows of life. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. I'm not exhausted. I'm tired. There's a difference.
With those words, Howard John Wesley announced that he is taking a 3.5-month sabbatical from the church he loves.
I'm just tired, running a little bit on empty.
And the distinction between tired and burned out to you is?
The joy. I've not lost my joy. There's just some of the fatigue that comes along with it that requires a replugging in and charging up so I can continue to do what I think I've been called to do.
11 years ago, Pastor Wesley was called to lead Alfred Street Baptist Church, and he has done it well. Church membership has quadrupled to 10,000 during his tenure. But the demands, some self-imposed, have taken a toll on the fourth-generation preacher. Did you feel compelled to work 24/7?
It's the only model I've ever known. I was raised by a dad who, God rest his soul, told me never turn down a preaching engagement. And here I am at 47 with 21 years in pastoring and going, maybe that wasn't the best advice. That collar, that robe doesn't grant you any immunity from mental disease and depression and anxiety.
Preacher burnout has been an issue in the Christian community. According to a 2015 survey of 1,500 evangelical pastors by Lifeway Research, 54% of pastors feel their role is frequently overwhelming. 33% feel isolated, but 71% of churches have no plan for a pastor to receive a periodic sabbatical.
What pushed me this year was that pastor, Jared Wilson, who took his life.
In September, Jared Wilson, the associate pastor at the 10,000-member Harvest Christian Fellowship in California, died by suicide. He was just 30 years old.
There's an unhealthy addiction to standing in that pulpit. You can delude yourself into thinking that that's what life is all about.
Wesley admits that he sees a therapist regularly, and he plans to use his sabbatical to begin a healthy lifestyle of exercise, a plant-based diet, and most of all, tending to his own need for personal time with God.
The greatest thing that has come from that sermon and this sabbatical is receiving hundreds of emails and texts from other pastors who said, thank you. I need to do this as well.
Do you feel freed, released?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm not ashamed. Yeah. Free. That I don't have to be Superman. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be super anointed every time I walk in this building. That I can be Howard John and not just pastor.
Tony, the congregation welcomes a sabbatical that the pastor needs. As a matter of fact, it starts on January 1st, and Pastor Wesley will be back just before Easter. And the pressures of being a pastor are immense indeed, no matter how big the flock. This is a trend that we're unfortunately seeing across the board in churches big and small.
Yeah, it's such an important job, and it's not the kind of job you can take a mental or physical break from, unless, of course, you get a sabbatical like this one. JB, thank you very much.
All right.